Hey guys, it's Brittany. Welcome back to my channel. I have been in a really bad reading slump for the past month, so I'm trying really hard to get back into reading again. I think I just got a little busy, and you know when you get busy you just kind of forget about reading, because that's what happened to me. And I love reading. Like, I feel like it's actually where my happiness lies, so I'm not willing to let go of that happiness. So today's mission, or this coming few weeks mission, is to find my next 5-star read so I can feel the love that I once felt. So this is my star tier ranking. So 1 star is I don't like it, 2 stars it's okay but I wouldn't recommend it, 3 stars I liked it, 4 stars I love it and I would possibly recommend, and 5 stars I am totally obsessed. A 5-star read gives you a different feeling. Like, I feel like it gives you the tingles. It gives you like a little bit of a, you know, like your heart's palpitating a little bit and you just feel emotionally into it. I had a bit of a quiet month last month, so I just really want to be back into the groove. I don't know how long this will take. This could take a week, it could take several weeks, I'm not sure, but I'm on a mission. There are a lot of books that I have been looking at. Like, I have a lot of romances actually that I haven't touched yet. I will be soon. I don't know why it hasn't been calling to me, and I just kind of pick up what calls to me. We've got Emily Henry, Ali Hazelwood, Elsie Silva. Like, I really want to get to that. I also have Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, which I haven't actually read yet. This one could be a really big contender for a 5-star because I love Magnolia Parks, if you guys have seen my other book vlogs. My emotional reaction to that book is just insane. And yeah, I also have Stephanie Garber, which I've been dying to read. So if you guys have seen my recent videos, I keep talking about wanting to read Once Upon a Broken Heart, and it's because I really want to read it, but apparently you should be reading Caraval first. And it's not a must, but I've heard that my reading experience will be much greater as a result of reading Caraval first. So I'm like, I obviously want a better experience. I also have fantasy up here. Ones I really want to read are Kingdom of the Wicked, Six of Crows, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I don't know if that one's too like emotional for me, so we'll see. I think I'm going to be starting with Caraval, but I'm just going to have a look around in my bookshelf first before I finally decide. I have decided what I'm going to read next, and that is going to be Caraval. I've heard a lot of things about this series, and there's a reason why I'm reading it, because I've seen your comments and I was saying how I want to start Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I actually did start. I've read the first 100 pages of this, but I realized shortly after that I have probably read a couple of spoilers at this point, and also I would like to know the background of our main character Jax. I like Jax and I would like to know more about Jax, which again I would need to know apparently because I should have read Caraval first. The overall plot of this book is that once a year there is a master called Legendary, and he hosts this thing called Caraval, which I guess you could say is like a magical version of like a games where you can win a prize, and the prize that you win is one single wish. So the story follows 2 sisters as they enter this game. I'm not sure if they both enter at the same time or not. Pretty sure one sister goes missing, and then the whole point of the entire games is her to find her in order to get this one wish. Otherwise the sister will disappear forever or something. And I'm like, so that's the general overall plotline of this, and I'm not sure about the other 2, but I heard that we hear about Jax in Legendary, so I'm gonna patiently await. Thank you for letting me know, by the way, guys, because I needed to be heavily convinced. Otherwise I really would have just finished this, but again I do agree that I will have a more full experience after reading this series. On page 63, right before chapter 8, 15% into this book. A lot of people have said it's very like whimsical and magical, and I totally understand and get that vibe. There's a lot of descriptive words, which I feel like I do really appreciate how like magical everything feels. Also, the sun just went down. I'm gonna continue reading and let you guys know my thoughts. I saw that somebody commented that you guys are all for seeing my cats, and I'm also all for seeing my cats as well. So I'm sorry, honey. I'm trying to show them more in my videos. They're just so cute. I love you. I think she just doesn't like being carried that much. But anyways, this is Mittens. This is my middle child, sometimes forgotten. I'm just kidding, she's never forgotten about, but you know, there are some middle child traits that do shine through. Mitten sleeps right here, which is perfect because I sit here and read. And then the cat tree is actually right behind me. So all the other cats sleep here. So this is Nori. Nubbles is at the very top. Morning guys, I am back home. As you can see, I was in Tokyo for 5 days, which is why I was reading everywhere but the apartment. And yeah, Tokyo was really fun. I did a vlog, so I'm gonna post that really soon. While I was there, I actually finished 2 books, and these 2 books were Caraval and Legendary. I cannot believe that I was about to sleep on this series. Like, I actually really enjoyed this. I wasn't gonna read it, first of all, because I just heard like average reviews about it, and people were like, it's very YA, it's very young, it's definitely magical and everything, but you know, it's not like I'm not obsessed with it. And so when I heard that, I obviously wasn't like, oh my god, like I'm dying to read this, because you know, like when you hear about something that people are obsessed with, that's when you're more interested. But I didn't hear that kind of hype around it, at least from like the reviews that I was seeing. So I really enjoyed this. I finished Caraval like maybe a week ago now. Again, this series is about 2 sisters, and they want to flee from home to go to this magical Caraval show. They want to meet legends so that they can make a wish, essentially, at least in this first book. That was an extremely summarized version of what goes on, but a lot of things happen. It's very magical. There's romance elements, there's adventure. Yeah, it's not something that's like super hard to read or anything. And I feel like the story is really unique. Like, I haven't read anything like this. I found the story really intriguing. I was very curious. I think there are a lot of things that were meant to be like very shocking, but I don't know why they weren't shocking to me. But there are definitely things that are meant to be like gasp moments, but I don't know why that it didn't have that effect on me. I think I wasn't like super connected to like the romance that was happening in this book and in this series in general. I don't know why. Like, I'm very, very intrigued, but I'm not like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like obsessed, like dying over these people being together and things. If you want a fantasy that's easy to read and that's also very magical and whimsical vibes, this is your book, and it doesn't hurt your brain. Like, I read this like so quickly. It's really fun, it's full of adventure, and I love like the romance that's in this too. I rate Caraval like a solid, I want to say 3.5 to 4, which is really solid for me. Like, it wasn't a 5-star read because I'm not like, again, obsessed, but I really enjoyed this and I'm delightfully surprised. I actually finished Legendary as well, and Legendary follows the second sister called Donatella, nicknamed Tella, and it follows her and Legend, and you also get introduced to other people in this book. So there are the Fates that are introduced in this, which become really prominent in the last book. Fates are essentially kind of like god-like beings with powers, and they have different capabilities and skills, and they were locked into these cards alongside Tella and Scarlett's mother. That's kind of like one of the plot lines in this book. It's not a spoiler or anything, like it comes on really early. There's a lot of other things that are like actually like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to read to find out about it, but that's kind of like where you start at. You get introduced to Jax in this book. He's also a Fate. Also, I saw your comments, guys, that you were like, please read Caraval before you read Once Upon a Broken Heart. And guess what? I have done it basically. And I'm actually really happy I picked up this series. So thank you guys for telling me, because I really needed that extra motivation. I really like that this second book follows like the other sister and then her love situation. There's a bit of a love triangle as well, which I'm obsessed with. The story is really interesting. I was like wondering where it could go from the first one, and I was really delightfully surprised. I'm still intrigued because now I'm onto the last book. Before I talk about that one, I'm gonna give this book a rating. So I rate this one a solid, I say 4. Like 4 to 4.3 stars. Like, I actually really enjoyed this book, and I really enjoyed Tella's story. I also like the romance in this because there was a bit of a triangle going on, it was a bit of, you know, like I was like, ooh. I feel like I'm not like overly connected to the romance in this book. Like I don't know why, I feel like it feels like I'm being told what's happening, but I can't really feel the emotions kind of attached to like the scenes that are going on, if that makes sense. So I'm not like crying or like sobbing over these characters, but I really like the concept of like what we're going with these characters and their dynamics. Just I'm not like overly connected. This leads me to the last book, Finale, which I'm actually only like, I think 10% away from finishing. So I'm gonna sit down and finish off this book and let you guys know my thoughts. But yeah, I literally started reading this on the plane and I was like, I have to finish it before I get off the plane, but I didn't finish it, but I was really close to finishing it. After that, I can finally start Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is what I've been waiting for this entire time. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm gonna sit down and let's read. So close to the end. Can I just say before I forget, I really enjoyed the romance in this book. It's just like nicely rounded out. It's giving love triangle. I love it. You have all of the main characters and everything. You kind of know everyone's dynamics and stuff, and there's just so much drama, and I live for the drama in this book. Nobody likes drama in real life, but this drama in here is good stuff. This is definitely a read for somebody who wants like fantasy setting, but like a core focus is like romance and relationships, because that's why I really love this series. Again, I'm not like overly connected to like all of the characters and their relationships and stuff, but I'm decently invested. Clearly. I guess more invested than I thought I was. At the end, encore. Oh my god, okay, I just finished the book. Oh, okay, I feel like this series was wrapped up really cute and adorably. And yeah, okay, let me give you my thoughts on this book, because this is the last book in a trilogy. It's nice because you have like all the characters, you know them all now, their relationships with each other and like their interactions. So I feel like this book wraps everything up really nicely, and I really enjoyed this. Like there were parts where I felt like, okay, maybe it's a bit rushed, maybe it's a bit like cringe potentially, maybe a bit cheesy, but again, this is a YA book, so I totally understand. If I was like 14 reading this, I would literally die. Like I think my head would actually explode. Okay, I haven't actually summarized what this book is about, but it's because I don't want to give any spoilers, because literally if I tell you like what happens and where this book is set, it's gonna spoil the other books for you guys. But I will say this one is set after like the fates have been released from their deck of cards, so they've essentially been freed. It's a bunch of complicated things between our main characters. We have Legend, we have Teller, we have Scarlet, we have Jax, and other fates and characters that are involved. It's giving continued and strong enemies to lovers themes. It says Caraval is over, but perhaps the greatest game of all has begun. There are no spectators this time, only those who win and those who will lose everything. So yeah, there is like some greater issues happening as well. I don't want to say anymore if I spoil anything, but key points would be there's some greater peril out there. You have everyone that you've met in the first few series now in this book, which is very satisfying to see. They're dynamic and strong on the enemies to lovers romance. Love that. Plotline is great, goes hard, love it. I just love the direction of where this went. I honestly think this is like pretty, like I love it. It's quite up there for me. I'll give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, because I honestly, after reading these two and you read this, it's just very satisfying, and I love all of the themes and the concepts and things they explore in this as well. So yeah, so my overall rating for the Caraval series is 4 stars. Like honestly, this series is really great. It's really unique, first of all, very magical. I feel like it kind of reminds me of when I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. in the sense that I feel like the world is just very magical and beautiful, and I can see everything in my head, and it just feels like a fairy tale. So I really love that aspect. I didn't think I would, because I was like, why would I care about that? But I'm like, no, I actually really enjoyed that. We have some strong enemies to lovers tropes throughout all of these books, which I'm a sucker for enemies to lovers. This is a YA, so it might feel a bit kiddish at times, maybe a little bit cringe at times as well. And I'm somebody who doesn't cringe very easily. Like, I'll be like, oh, that's sweet, but I won't like cringe. But I did cringe a little bit at some parts, but it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It was quite sweet. As a 13-year-old, I would really enjoy this series. I'd probably be swooning over this series. Reading this now, I feel honestly brought back to like childhood a little bit. Yeah, I really enjoyed this series. Okay, I'm so happy. I give this series overall a rating of 4 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend it, guys. I cannot believe I'm saying this because I wasn't gonna read it, but here I am. Yay! I'm so happy right now. You have no idea. Now it's time to read Once Upon a Broken Heart. I'm gonna start this today. So this book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, is also by Stephanie Garber, and it's in the same world as Caraval, except you're following Jax, which you get introduced to in the 2nd and 3rd book of the Caraval series. He's giving bad boy. He's giving troublemaker. It's giving that. So I was very intrigued, as a lot of us girlies were. Can you blame us? Summary about this book. So we follow Jax. He's one of the Fates, which is like basically one of the higher powerful beings, and he's gone somewhere since the last book in the Caraval series. We don't know where, but this follows along after that timeline. This is gonna be Caraval spoilers, so please skip past this a little bit, because some of the context things I'm going to give are spoilers from the other series. This book happens after Scarlet becomes the new empress of the land and her sister by her side as a princess. We follow this girl called Evangeline in this book, Evangeline Fox. At the beginning of the book, you start off, she wants to stop a wedding because she's in love with this boy, but this boy is about to get married to her stepsister, and she's like, no, like, he's the love of my life, I cannot let this happen. So she goes to this temple thing, and she basically is praying upon these fates to ask them to stop this wedding. And guess who shows up? Guess who shows up? It's Jax. In trade for stopping this wedding, she promises him 3 kisses. It's to whoever Jax decides these 3 kisses are gonna be to. And after the first kiss, she's like, damn, I've made a mistake. I feel like this could potentially be my next 5-star read, but I'm just not sure yet. Like, I feel like I'm very, very intrigued, and I've been anticipating this book for so long because I just really wanted to like get to it after I heard so much about it. And also like the characters, also the Pinterest, like the Pinterest. Oh, Pinterest has been throwing me so many Evangeline and Jax photos, and I just needed to stop looking at it because I keep spoiling things for myself. This series could really possibly be the next 5-star read. I don't know. I hope so, because I feel like I've been looking for my next 5-star read for a while now. And if it's not the first one, I really hope it's like one of the other books, like the 2nd one or the 3rd one. I've heard that The Ballad of Never After is really good. I don't know, if not, maybe I'll try one of these romances. Like, the thing is, after reading Caraval, I do feel like I'm a bit more out of my slump. I don't even know if I mentioned that. I feel like I was in a tiny bit of a slump, but I think it was also because life gets busy sometimes, and then I just can't sit down and read. And when you fall in and out of routine, it's just really hard to, like, you know what I mean? Like, maintain, especially when you don't have a book that you're like obsessed with at the moment. And that's the type of person I am. I have to be obsessed with it. I have to be intrigued or interested. So yeah, so Caraval really gave me a boost recently, so I'm really happy that I picked that up. 5 books a month, that's my goal at the moment. I have a Goodreads, by the way, which you guys have been asking me about, and I linked it down below, I think in like a video or 2 ago. I'll link it down below again here, so if you want to add me guys. And don't laugh at my reviews, it's just for me to keep track of my thoughts. And I literally just, when I write a review, I'm not thinking about the grammar, I'm literally just like, let me get down my thoughts. Good morning, guys. or it's actually midday, so good midday. I got through 30% of this book last night, so like a decent way through, and I really want to try and finish this tonight. I have it on my Kindle as well, just because I've been in a Kindle mode recently. I don't know what it is. I just feel like I realize how much more easier it is to like read on my Kindle, especially at nighttime. So yeah, but I also kind of want to tab this book, so I'm a bit conflicted. My thoughts at the moment to this point, I'm loving that we're getting a bit more Jacks. Again, I'm really happy I read Caraval first before reading this, because now I understand. I understand the drama, I understand the backstory, I understand the heartache. Like, I get what's going on now, and it's honestly making this experience so much better. So anyone who is thinking about reading Once Upon a Broken Heart, definitely read Caraval first. It's so worth the push, and honestly it wasn't even hard to get through. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed that series as well. It was a really magical world, and I don't know, it was very new to me. Like, I feel like I hadn't read any stories similar to that. This book as well, very much the same setting, especially in the way that Stephanie Garber writes. It's very much like I'm being told a fairy tale, and I love it. Except this one I feel like is more like feminine and like really like girly kind of magical vibes, which I personally really love, because I myself, I would say, am like a very girly girl. You definitely should read Caraval, because you know, you'll know the drama, you'll know the tea, you'll know why things are happening, and I love that I know now because I've read it. And now the experience reading this is so much better because I have context. I actually have context, and it's the best thing ever, and I'm eating it up. So who knows, maybe this could be my next 5-star read, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like it's a very strong feeling that I'll have to have, but so far so good. I'm gonna read this today, finish it off hopefully tonight. No spoilers or anything, but so far in the book, I'm up to the part where Evangeline, she's like gone to the north, and like this is not a spoiler at all. This is just like the main beginning part of the plot. And yeah, she's sent to the north, a bunch of things happen. She's promised like Jax, the Prince of Hearts, like 3 kisses, but not to him, to like other people. And I'm just like, why? Like, why? That's the part that I don't get, and she doesn't get it either, and I haven't found out yet why, but like, I want to know why, you know? Like, I still don't get it, and I can't even like think of like the reasons like why he would want that to happen. Like, I'm like, unless if you're trying to do something, but then like they're like, no, I'm not trying to do something. So I'm like, by something I mean like, so like apparently that's not what's happening unless if it is. So yeah, I'm a bit confused. But anyways, I'm gonna keep reading and find out. I'll let you guys know. Hopefully I finish this tonight, and I'll update you guys on my I actually started the Ballad of Never After yesterday after I finished my uni class. I literally finished the book, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna listen to the audiobook on the way home. Can I just add that this might actually be the one? Much of a vibe it is to read in the dark on your Kindle. Like, it's actually really nice. Guys, I finished Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I finished this so fast. Like, I think I read this in like less than 2 days technically if we're counting the hours, but in 2 days. My feelings after this book was I immediately have to read the next one. And also the concepts in this book is just everything that I want as a reader. And this is probably like one of my favorite young adult romances, like fantasy romances as well, like out of everything that I've read, just because it's just so like fairy tale like, but it has all of the elements of romance that I personally enjoy. And there's a really strong enemies to lovers. Like, it is a strong enemies to lovers. By the end of this book, I can tell that they are going to be enemies continuously until the next book, and maybe until the 3rd book as well. And I feel like that keeps it interesting. There's so much happening in this plot line. There's also vampires involved, which I was like, and like, I love Twilight, guys. Like, I love Twilight. So when they told me there were going to be vampires, I was like, guys, I was not prepared for what this book was to bring me. And anyways, I'm just really happy that I'm finally up to this book. I do feel like I want to reread like the last 30% of this book, just because I listened to it on audiobook because I was driving to uni. I was just doing like so much the other day when I was reading this, but I really wanted to get through it because I was listening to the audiobook while reading it, and that, first of all, I never realized that was such a good experience, like listening to it and reading at the same time. I just feel like I can get through the book quicker, but the only thing I have to say about listening to the audiobook is like the sound of the characters like talking sometimes just throws me a bit off. When the narrator starts talking in like Jack's voice, I'm like, sorry, like that is not what I was picturing in my head, but okay. Did listen to this on audiobook for like the last 30-40% of it, so I do want to I do want to go back. Oh no, why is there a giant slice in my book? There is a slice, but I have no idea where that's come from. Also, can I just say the detailings on this book are insane as well. Like there's little cracks and like just cover's so pretty. And anyways, that's besides the point. This book is definitely like giving me the energy of like one of my favorite concepts that I've probably ever read, just because again, I really love this particular romance trope and I feel like she's done it really, really well. Stephanie Garwood, that is. I'm like dying for this romance, even though there actually isn't any romance yet, by the way, but obviously you get the vibe. Like we're leading to a romance even though they don't like each other. And they actually are enemies, which is like, you know, stakes are high, guys. This story is also so unique. I like literally had no idea where I was going with this. Like it's just so different to anything that I've read. And for a YA, I think if I read this when I was 13 years old, like again, I would go mental. And I think I would have gone more mental for this if I had again just like read the words on the page rather than listen to it. But again, I was so busy these past few days, so I couldn't. So that leads to the question, is this my next 5-star read? And guys, I feel like I was so close, so close to giving this 5 stars, and I don't know, I might change my mind after. For now, I feel like because I'm kind of like weighing on it, I feel like I can't give this a 5-star because I feel like I shouldn't be pondering over this for so long, and maybe I just need to think about it a little bit more. But for now, I would give this a solid 4.5 stars, which is, I know it's really, really close, but I think maybe by the next book it could be a 5-star, just because I feel like this is like the introduction to this particular story. Like this is the introduction to Evangeline and Jax and all these other characters and like this plot line in general. So I'm hoping the next one's going to be a 5-star because honestly, I literally don't know how many books I've read to get to this point right now, and I really do want to switch it up with like a different series. So anyways, I'm sorry if this has become like a Stephanie Garber like reading marathon, but I just really wanted to get through these books. I know a lot of you guys love this series as well, so I hope you guys are excited that I'm reading this because I'm really enjoying this. Like honestly, this is the most fun I've had in a long time. This is a solid 4.5 stars for now. Concept, story, everything, I love it. I feel like it's like a young adult fairy tale, which I haven't personally experienced reading before, and I really love this. I heard some people saying how they don't like how naive Evangeline is, but I like that because I'm like, you know, when I'm reading, like I don't want a character who knows how to figure everything out. I don't know, it just kind of goes against like the plot and how you're gonna have complications if you don't have a little bit of naivety when it comes to your characters. Okay, so now it is time to read The Ballad of Never After, and I'm not even gonna lie, like after I listened to the audiobook for Once Upon a Broken Heart, I was in the car still driving home, so I was like, of course I'm gonna start listening to The Ballad of Never After. Like you can't expect me to be driving for an hour and I'm not gonna be listening to something. So I started listening to this and I've listened to the first 30% of this already. So actually I listened and read, so like half. But again, I think I need to go back and reread it from the beginning again. So I'm gonna do that today at some point. Spoiler alert, like please skip past this part if you don't want a summary of this book because it will spoil the first book. You have been warned. Okay, please skip forward like at least a minute or two. So basically in this book, it follows after Once Upon a Broken Heart, where Jax has betrayed her. He has betrayed Evangeline. You know, I love that for the plot because it means the plot thickens. It means we have more drama. It means we still have enemies to lovers because they aren't lovers yet. They're still enemies. She vows that she's never going to trust him ever again. But then a new problem arises and she finds herself having to work with the Prince of Hearts again. Surprise, surprise. And so she has to find a way to work with him but also trust him again. Instead of a love spell wreaking havoc in Evangeline's life, the murder spell has been cast, and to break it, Evangeline and Jax will have to battle with old friends and foes and magic that plays with heads and hearts. Evangeline has always trusted her heart, but this time she's not sure she can. That was kind of like the general plot line that follows after the first one. Let's get reading, guys. Oh my god, this could be the one. I have a book update. I'm 44% through The Ballad of Never After. And guys, I feel a 5-star brewing. I feel it brewing. I'm not 100% sure yet, but hopefully by the end of tonight. Actually, I don't know if that's too ambitious. I don't know if I can finish this tonight, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, it says I only have 3 hours and 38 minutes left, so I'm like, maybe I could finish this tonight. I just have to like go edit a video and get some stuff done, but guys, like I get like those little badum-badums. Oh, hi Nubbles. Those little heart pulses when I get really like intrigued by like a male lead. I feel like the first one actually could have been a 5-star if I had read it on paper, but because I listened to the audiobook, and I was talking to my friend about this yesterday because I went to Rebecca Yarris's book signing for Fourth Wing. Or it wasn't a book signing, it was like a panel where she like did Q&A. I was talking to my friend about it in the car, and I was like, I listened to the audiobook and it just didn't really do the book justice, I feel, because I can't take it seriously when the narrator's like switching between characters, especially female and male characters, because they lower the register of their voice. And I'm like, Jack calls Evangeline Little Fox, and I know some of you might cringe, but I think it's cute, okay? I think it's adorable, and you know, it doesn't come off the same when the narrator's like, Little Fox, and I'm like, please don't say that again. I don't think I can take this book seriously. And so that's what I think affected my rating, even though I gave it a really high rating. But I think it might have been different if I'd read it myself, because you have your own like voices in your head. But anyways, I'm gonna continue this. I'm like nearly at the halfway point of The Ballad of Never After, and I will say I love where we're at with the plot. I just love like the type of romance that's in this book, and also it's not even like romance yet, it's like kind of romance, but like I like the bickering, I like the confusing naiveness of our female character. I just feel like it's realistic. It's so action-packed and fairy tale-like, which I love. And I love vampires, guys. I love vampires. So if you love vampires as well, you're gonna love this one. Also, guys, like this plotline is very interesting. Like I feel like also like the love interest plotline, it's not even like love interest, but like the kind of tension that we get between multiple different characters, and I mean multiple different characters, really satisfying. Just saying, as a girl who loves romance and fantasy together, like if they put this in an adult romance, it would slap so hard. But yeah, I love like all the characters we have going on and their relationships and, you know, the tension. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading and keep you guys updated. Good morning. Guess what? I finished the book. I finished this last night at like 1 a.m. in the morning because I was like, no, I refuse to not finish this today because it was getting so good. And I cried actual tears. And I'm a bit shocked that I did, because I don't know why, like I don't think I had this type of emotional response when I read Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I feel like I should have at some point. And I didn't, but again, I think it's the audiobook. It really threw me off, so no more audiobooks for me. But The Ballad of Never After, I don't even know where to start. Okay, I need to like wrap up my thoughts. First, general reactions is, oh my gosh, I love this book. Like I feel like having read Caraval and having read Once Upon a Broken Heart, especially like setting up like the now characters like Evangeline and Jax, and then also having all of that backstory about Jax from Caraval makes this book so good. So anybody who's like, oh, it's okay like not to read Caraval, like I totally get that, but I think your experience reading Once Upon a Broken Heart, like this entire series, will be elevated if you read Caraval. So please trust me on that. I don't care what anybody else says. no, you don't necessarily have to read it, like you could understand it, but my reading experience was definitely better after I read Caraval. So anyways, so there's that. There's just so much that we explore with Evangeline and Jax. You also get to know Jax even more, which was so interesting to me because I don't know, I thought we knew everything we had to know about him, but I guess not. And there's also new characters that are introduced and explored more, which I thought was so interesting. Again, there's a whole like three-way situation not even 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, oh, not really. It's like there's a lot of people involved and there's a lot of flirtatiousness happening, and it's just a bit naughty, it's just a bit cheeky, but in a very YA sense. But I will say that this is like kind of spicy for a YA. Even I was like ooh. I felt like it was like the perfect balance because you also kind of get the idea of like the tension between the two characters. I also love it when authors don't write from the male's perspective. This is just all Evangeline, at least like the good 95% of this book. It's much more satisfying to read because I feel like when a guy's more mysterious, it's much more appealing to me. Don't really want to know what's going on in Jack's head. I like it when I don't know. In terms of like the plot, this plot is so epic. Like I am such a huge fan of this. Like you have vampires now. I just thought it was just incredible. I could imagine everything like so well. I could imagine all of our characters really well, which is when I feel like I actually have a good connection with like the story. Oh my god. And the ending, oh, like the ending. If this series was still coming out as I was reading this, I don't know what I'd do with myself. I actually wouldn't, but luckily I don't have to wait. I literally pulled up the next book, which is A Curse of True Love, and I'm 17% through chapter 7. So that's where I'm at this morning. Throughout this whole story, you're exploring her relationship again with Jax and also all these other characters around her. And it's just a beautiful, fascinating, magical world, which I am so consumed by right now. And I love this series. And I want to go buy the hard copy and like the other version that I don't have right now, which is ridiculous. I don't know if I'm actually going to do it. And I can't get over the fact that I cried real tears. I don't know, again, is it because I was reading like really late at night? Like that tends to happen when I read late at night. Still, tears are tears. And I was literally like, I wasn't like sobbing, but like I was like, she was dripping some tears. If you can't tell from my reaction, this is indeed my 5-star read. I don't know how many books it's been. Hopefully not too many, but this video feels like it's been going on for a really long time. So yeah, this is my 5-star read, guys. This could have been a 5-star, but I think the audiobook really just was not vibing with me, and I started hearing Jax in a really weird way and it just wasn't really doing it for me. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go marinate in this for a little bit. I really love this book. The feelings like this gives me is like my heart is racing. It's just, this makes me really excited to find another book like this, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to find another story that's like this because it's just so specific. Like it's a fantasy romance, but there's like the adventure aspect, but it's not too focused on the politics of the world. It's just really like, I can tell that romance is like the forefront of this, and I love it. I also want to say that I can tell the difference between Stephanie Garber's writing from Caraval till now. I feel like she's really polished up like her writing and just the way she storytells, because I don't know if it's because of Caraval or genuinely maybe it is because it was like her first like book and it was her debut novel. I feel like I wasn't connected to the characters in that book and I didn't have any like emotional kind of reaction, whereas I feel like by the time I got to Once Upon a Broken Heart, I was like, oh, I can really believe that these characters are going through these things, and I can believe that they're, you know, going through all these emotions and feelings, because I didn't really believe it during Caraval. Maybe towards like the last book, but like the first one, I was like, they like each other? Like, I was like, no, I just didn't believe it. For all my fantasy girlies who love some enemies to lovers, and they're still enemies, guys. Like, in the third book, they are still enemies, and you're like, how is that even possible? Well, wait until he gets to the end of this. I'm gonna come back after so I can do a little summary of all of the books that I ended up reading during this 5-star reading journey. A lot of these are Stephanie Garber, but I was really just trying to get to this series, but I'm very pleased that it's exceeded my expectations. I'm so happy right now, you have no idea. And yeah, I don't feel like shutting up yet, so I'm gonna go through every single one of these books and just do a little overview of my thoughts and also the rating, just so you guys can get an idea of it. And I realize now that this actually did turn into I'm reading Stephanie Garber. So yeah, I didn't mean for that to happen, but I'm really glad that I did get through this series though. I am up to the last book, The Curse of True Love. I love this book. Can I just say as well, the book sizes, like, why? Let's go through everything, guys, in order. So, first book we had was Caraval. I was honestly really surprised by how much I enjoyed this book because I'd heard so many reviews, and this is why you should never listen to other people's opinions. Not never, but like you should always form an opinion for yourself. So don't judge a book before you actually get to know it yourself. I was really surprised by this one. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it at all, but the world was so magical and I was so intrigued by everything, and the writing style was so different from what I was used to. I will say again, there are some parts which are a little bit cringy, some parts where maybe there is just a lot of description going on, but I feel the magical vibes and I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, but I actually really love this one. So solid 3.5. This book obviously sets you up for the series, and I think it's a really worthwhile world to get to know because I'm really happy that I am introduced to this world now. Like when I think of this book, I think of a magical circus. So yeah, if you like fantasy, you're gonna love this. That one is also a enemies to lovers. I'm pretty sure all of these is some version of an enemies to lovers. Next we have Legendary. I'm pretty sure I gave this a 3.5 to 4 stars. After Caraval, you're like set up pretty well for this world, and now you get to meet Scarlett's sister Donatella, and you follow her story and also her romance and relationship with this guy called, oh no, what's his name? This is bad. See, this is when you know you're like not overly attached to the characters. Okay, Dante. So you explore her and Dante's relationship. You also are figuring out who Legend is in this book, and you also get introduced to Jax, which is who I wanted the backstory on for Once Upon a Broken Heart. There's a lot going on in this book, and honestly, again, this world is very magical, whimsical. If you're like a romance fantasy gal, like you're definitely gonna love this because it's giving romance fantasy. Love Donatella's storyline as well. I'm more interested in Donatella with Dante and Jax and everything over Scarlett and Julian. I just think it's just a bit more intriguing and interesting to me. Donatella has joined the game of Caraval in this one. So in the first one, Scarlett's in the game, but this time she's in the game for other reasons because she needs to get something. Basically, she's made a deal with Jax, and because she made that deal in Caraval, she has to fulfill the deal, which is find out who Legend is and give that name to Jax. There's some love triangle stuff going on. It's good stuff. I love this. We have Finale. This one I gave, oh gosh, I end up giving this one 4 stars. I'm pretty sure because I really enjoyed the plotline. It continues on with Donatella and Dante and Jax. So my Goodreads, I literally read this series to find out about Jax's backstory because I was told it would make my reading experience for Once Upon a Broken Heart better, and I'm happy to confirm that it most definitely will. I've been delightfully surprised by this series, and I honestly had low expectations going into this, but I'm so happy that I really enjoyed it. Reminded to just give a book a try anyways because I almost missed out on this world. Which I cannot believe I almost missed out on this world. I don't give anything away, but basically a lot of uncovering of truths, dealing with these deceptions and lies and finding out who people really are, and just there's a lot that goes on here. Honestly, this whole book was kind of a blur to me. I do remember the ending very clearly, and it's a satisfying one at that, especially if you're about to start Once Upon a Broken Heart. So yeah, anyways, I feel like I gave it 4 stars probably because it wrapped up all the other 2 books really well, and I felt very satisfied, and it prepared me for what I was really looking for. Now that I've said that, moving on to Once Upon a Broken Heart. This was like the main contender. Like this is what I thought was actually gonna get 5 stars. And this book follows Evangeline and Jax is introduced within Caraval. He is the Prince of Hearts. He has a deadly kiss and he's trying to find his true love, and his true love will not get affected by his kiss, but you kind of like find out about that in Caraval and like that series. So in this book, Evangeline makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts because she's so heartbroken that the boy that she loves is about to marry her stepsister, and she wants to put a stop to this wedding, so she does. And then as a result, she makes a deal with Jack. She promises him 3 kisses, and these kisses are to like other people, because obviously if you kiss Jax you're gonna die, so I don't know what's going on there, but you're never meant to make a deal with the fates. So yeah, it's a complicated plot line. There's a lot going on. I'm very satisfied. So very strong enemies to not lovers. They're not lovers, nope, but it's giving romance. And I love that the enemies to lovers continues through to the second book. So yeah, I end up giving this book I think 4 stars, or like 4, no, I gave this book 4.5 stars. It was so close to a 5-star, guys. Like this probably would have been a 5-star if I hadn't listened to the audiobook, because the audiobook, you guys have heard me say it so many times in this video already, but it really threw me off, okay? Like, let me just play a clip from the audiobook, because I don't know how I was taking this seriously. I think I was just like too excited to get through it that I was like, whatever.
I think I need to amend the speech I just gave. Don't worry, little fox. You'd be far too much trouble for me to... No.
See, like that, I just couldn't take that seriously, because every time I'd hear it, I'd like, sorry, that's like not what I had in mind in my head. So anyways, it was just like on Spotify, so I listened to it, and I was also going to uni, so I was like, okay, I don't have time to sit down and read right now, but I really want to get through this book. That's why I think this didn't turn into a 5-star. It could have been a 5-star. That really threw me off. This leads on to the 5-star of this book, The Ballad of Never After, which this is honestly, it's incredible. Like I read the last like half of this book last night in like 3 hours, and I shed some tears. It was a good moment. So basically there's a new curse that has fallen upon our poor Evangeline, and basically it's the Archer's curse, and there's a lot of different things happening all at once. They're finding the Arc stones in this one, which basically will open this arc, which is what they were looking for in the first one, but now they're actually going out to like find these stones to actually open the arc. She doesn't know why. She's like, why are we opening this? Like, what are we opening this for? What's inside? But like all she knows is that if she opens it, she's a chance of removing the curse from Apollo, her husband that she got married to in the first book. It's not really a spoiler. There's a lot of other big things that happen. So she has to decide if she can trust Jack still, because they're still enemies. But yeah, and also the ending of this book, like, very satisfying. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed exploring and finding my next 5 stars with me. Next time I promise I will do different books from different series, but I feel like this was nice. Everything was chronological, and it's satisfying. And also I'm really glad like the 5-star that I thought was going to be a 5-star is a 5-star, or like almost was, but this one is. Let me know down below what other book videos you guys would like me to do. I want to do more like reading ones like this, but I just kind of want to keep them like a bit different so it's not all the same. For example, how much I read in a week, or like only reading romance books. Oh my god, actually I should probably do that. Okay, that's my next one, only reading romance books. I'm literally gonna film that right after I stop this video. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know down below if you have any other book suggestions, video suggestions, anything. Don't forget to like this video, it really helps me out, and I will see you guys in my next one.